Yes, sir. We just got done recording a Call of Duty video. I'm just chilling here, and I wanted to show you guys something pretty sick. I don't know if you guys might have happened to hear about this. I talked about it a little bit on Twitter, and this just got me super nostalgic, and I wanted to have a little conversation about nostalgia because it's a very interesting one to me. As I'm sure you guys know, if you're a COD player and someone who's been playing the Call of Duty franchise, I'm sure you know a thing or two about nostalgia, but you guys have to see this app right here. I kind of opened it already, so it kind of almost messed up the little screenshot thing, but check this out. I don't know if you guys can really see that all that well, but that is Pokémon Emerald on an iPhone. It's one of my favorite Pokémon games of all time. I mean, look at that! Look at it, it's gonna load up. Wait, I should probably put the... I gotta get the music going. Look at that! I mean, I've obviously played it already, so it's not, super new to me, but... I don't know if it's gonna focus on, but focus on the phone. That is sick, dude. Now, obviously, I'm not gonna be playing this on my phone right now. I've seen some people saying that I should stream Pokemon Emerald, which I mean, you could already do that on PC with a PC emulator. I've considered doing that before. I don't think I have it set up on the new PC, the one that Origin PC sent around the time of Modern Warfare 2. And don't get me wrong, man. I think it would be a lot of fun to stream some Pokemon, but at the same time, I don't know if that's really something that most of you guys would want to see. I know obviously some of you guys are Pokemon fans and you'd love to see it because it's very nostalgic for you. But at the same time, I already know for a fact that if I'm playing anything Call of Duty related, that's most likely what most people wants to see. But regardless, I still wanted to talk about this app and show you guys this whole Delta thing on iPhone. Because if you're on iOS, if you have an iPhone and you want to be able to play old Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, I think even DS games. I haven't tried that yet, but I think it can do it. Definitely check this app out. It's free. Just make sure you do your due diligence and make sure to legally acquire the ROMs so you can play on the emulator legally. Okay. But yeah, for this little video on the Merc Plus channel, I want to talk about nostalgia because I feel like it's something that we all resonate with. I know a lot of you guys are probably COD players watching this, but I think regardless of just that, nostalgia, it's something that I feel like at times might be a little too powerful, you know what I mean? I'm trying to come up with an example, and I think the most obvious one would be Call of Duty, right? Think back to the first Call of Duty game that you started with, right? For me, that's Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare, right? That's a game that came out in 2007. It's 17 years old at this point. That means by now, there's an entire generation of COD players that are brand new that don't even know what it is. They probably don't even know what a Call of Duty 4 is. And from my perspective, I can't even wrap my head around that because the series has been around for so long, and I would be shocked if most people didn't play COD 4 or didn't know about it. And really, that's what's so crazy about nostalgia, because I have so many amazing fond memories of the game itself. Not even just the stuff that happened in multiplayer. I'm talking about even just the game itself, the campaign, the characters, the plot of the game, the story building, the voice acting and stuff. There's so much memorable dialogue in Call of Duty 4. You boot up the game and you hear 50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town. Oh my god, it's so iconic, right? Another really good example, if you're someone who started with Black Ops 1, I know a lot of people started with Black Ops 1, right? The actual main menu itself was so unique. The fact that you would pick between campaign, multiplayer, and zombies, but you could also break out of the chains and walk around, and there was even that little computer with different codes you could enter, it's just insane, man. And I want you guys to be honest with me in the comments. I'm gonna ask you a question. I wanna see if you guys have had this experience as well, because I think Pokemon is actually really a better example. It's kind of been the case with COD 4 as well, maybe even World at War, but there have been times where I hear certain songs from the soundtrack, or there's even specific moments. I think a prime example was actually when they remastered Modern Warfare. I got so emotional working on the Sound of Silence project because COD 4 was that game to me, and making that project, the song, everything, it fits so beautifully, it fits so perfectly, and dude, when I was working on that project, I was literally sitting there at the computer, just crying. And this is exactly why I'm saying that nostalgia is just so powerful, man. It's too strong at times. Another prime example that comes to mind actually is Pokemon Emerald, which is why I wanted to show you guys how to get the emulator and stuff, so you can check that stuff out. Because for me, Pokemon might be even more nostalgic because I played the Pokemon games at a much younger age, which means that Pokemon got to sink its claws into me at a much earlier age and stuff, which is why I still buy the new games and stuff. I play Pokemon Go. I play Pokemon Sleep. I love Pokemon, man. It's awesome. But aside from the Pokemon themselves, what really blew my mind, I don't know exactly when it happened, but it might have been a couple years ago at this point, but I randomly just had one of the old songs from the Pokemon Emerald soundtrack. You could even just say the Gen 3 soundtrack, like Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. I just randomly had a song pop into my head and I wanted to hear it. So I looked up the soundtrack on YouTube, right? And the song that I had stuck in my head, or even just like the melody, it was the theme for Little Root Town, which is the town that you start the game in. And dude, just like the sound of silence, when that melody, that song started playing, I started having tears coming out of my eyes. Like, is it just because I'm getting old, or is it because the song itself was just so beautiful? Because it was so captivating. Well, I took a look through the comments and stuff, and it turns out that I knew... Oh my god, dude, I don't want to start getting emotional now, but like, it's so crazy because it explains why it was so good, why it has this profound effect on me, right? And I'm really hoping that this resonates with you guys as well, and that we can just kind of share these stories in the comments, because to me at least, I think it's a beautiful thing. At first I saw one person in the comment section of the video saying this, but ultimately there were multiple people saying this in the comments as well, and... Oh my god, dude, it gets me every time. But they were saying when they hear the Little Root Town theme... Oh my god, dude, don't cry. It's the sound of them coming home. It's the sound of being home. And, oh my god, dude. There's just something that is so beautiful and special about that theme. To me personally, like, I personally connect with that, because when I boot up Gen 3 Pokemon, and I hear the Little Root Town theme when you get out of the moving van and stuff, it's just like, and when I hear the song itself, it makes me think of home. It just, like, even just the house I'm in now, right? But like, even your childhood home, whatever the case might be, it is the sounds, the beautiful melody and harmony of being home. There's just something so special and unique about that theme. And there's another one that's really good as well. Another amazing theme in the Gen 3 soundtrack that honestly kind of fills that same role to me as well is the Verdanturf town theme. That one is also just incredible. And obviously I know I'm focusing a lot on Gen 3, but I also feel this way about a lot of the Gen 1 and Gen 2 Pokemon soundtracks as well. I mean, I grew up playing Gen 1 through 3, and I didn't really get to play a lot of stuff after that because my parents at that time, they didn't want to buy us like the DS and stuff. They didn't want to keep buying games because they were getting tired of buying Pokemon games and all the, you know, like handheld consoles and stuff. So that was pretty much it for us. Like, it stopped at Gen 3, but I've gotten back in and I've replayed some of these games and stuff like that. And the Pokemon series, it has that special place in my heart. The same way that Call of Duty does as well. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of other video games and music and food and like all sorts of stuff. There's all kinds of different things in our lives that are nostalgic. And I feel like it is good to indulge in that every so often, because to a degree, it does kind of make us feel younger, right? Like, it takes you back to a certain period of time where maybe life was better, maybe when things were better, right? But that's the thing as well. You can have too much of a good thing. And I do feel like nostalgia definitely plays in some kind of role, or like it factors in somewhere into that phrase or that saying, because if you indulge too much in nostalgia, are you going to leave yourself open to the idea of new experiences and trying new things? Because I also feel like that's an incredibly important thing to do as you're kind of like growing up and moving into your adult life. You don't want to be constantly just like sucked into the past and only wanting to relive these old experiences. They were great. The old times were great. Don't get me wrong. But you also don't want to completely close yourself off to new things and like new ideas, right? Trying new things. Also, I know this is like super random, but do I look weird right now? I feel like I'm like a floating head with my... I'm gonna take the hood off. Rocking the Gold Yubung hoodie, by the way. Thank you guys so much for the support on the re-release of the Gold Yubung merch. It has been pretty amazing. And also, thank you guys so much for subscribing and checking out the channel. We hit over 4,000 subscribers on the new channel already, which is insane. Thank you guys so much. That is massively appreciated, man. I love you guys. But back to the main topic of nostalgia. You're probably wondering, Eric, what do you do that's new? All I see you do is play Call of Duty. You even just pose like the old Call of Duties and stuff, right? Well, that's what I'm doing for the main channel, right? That's what I'm doing for Merc Music. But aside from that, though, I am still doing and trying a lot of other things, even if it's not something that I post to YouTube, because that's one thing that we have to keep in mind as well. I can only share so much of my life and so many of my experiences with you guys, and hopefully with this channel, that's something that I can do more of. I can hopefully share more of my life and more of my experiences with you guys. I would love to do that. And just in case you guys were wondering, like as far as it goes for other games that I'm playing, if I'm not playing Call of Duty, right? Because I like to mix it up. I don't want to just be playing Call of Duty outside of making YouTube videos and stuff, right? I've gone back and played so many of the Halo games because of the MCC collection. I'm sure you guys know that I also play Counter-Strike every so often, Battlefields, but that's like, I haven't played that as recently. But at the same time, if I was only, you know, like living in the past with Call of Duty and only playing COD, I wouldn't be playing or checking out any other FPS games, and there's a lot of other great games out there. Prime example for 2024, I played a lot of Pal World. I streamed it, and I made a lot of videos, and granted, it's kind of not had as much stuff to do and as much content as I think people were probably expecting out of a lot of video games nowadays. It was still a lot of fun. It was a great game to play for that little time period. And even now, we got Helldivers 2, and Helldivers 2 is a super fun game. And, you know, when we have time to play, I still do hop on with Matt and Karina and Solba as well. There is an endless sea of other video games to play as well, and there's always new things that you can play and try out there. I don't necessarily want this video to get too long, but when it comes to nostalgia, I think ultimately the takeaway that I have, and I know I've mostly focused on video games, I could have talked about so many other things. We could have talked about music as well, because there's even songs from Joe Satriani and Steve Vai that I grew up listening to, and when I hear those songs every so often, they'll make me emotional too. Maybe I'm just getting old, I don't know. But regardless, if you're someone who's like 60 years old watching this video, which is probably unlikely, but maybe you're someone who's younger than me watching this video, you're gonna get older, and you're gonna get nostalgic about whatever you're enjoying at this point in time. That's just how life works, man. And I think ultimately the takeaway is to realize that nostalgia is a good thing. Remembering those past memories and all those good times and stuff, and the things that you enjoyed when you were younger, it is good. But you can have too much of a good thing, and it's just important to make yourself available for new things and new experiences. Otherwise, honestly, you can kind of end up being miserable as a result. If all you can do is just look at the past and just remember all of those older good times and you can't move on from that, it's just gonna be impossible to move on. You're just not gonna find any joy in anything, which is why it's good to try to recognize and understand when maybe you've had too much of your fill of nostalgia and it might be time to move on and try some new things. Okay, I feel like I'm kind of yapping and babbling the same kind of stuff over and over again, so I'm gonna end it there. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. I really do hope you guys enjoyed. Have an amazing rest of your day. I'll see you guys later.